All right, it's time for another battery comparison. This time around, we have the iPhone 14, which is actually right here. Let me go and switch these ones around. So we have the iPhone 14, iPhone 13, iPhone 12, 11, and 10R. So basically all the base model iPhones from the iPhone, from 2018 onwards. And we're going to go ahead and do a battery comparison. Now they're all charged up to 100%. They're all at their max brightness, as you all can tell. As you can see, max brightness all throughout. We also pretty much have all the apps cleared out in the background as well. As you guys can tell, and they're all updated on the most recent version of software. So basically how it's going to work, I'm going to go ahead and just let them kind of die out. I'm going to let them sit here for about an hour or so and then check back in and see where battery percentages they're at. They're all at the most recent version of software right now. You can see the battery percentages on the widgets as well as in the top right corners. They're all at varying battery capacities as well. So if I go ahead and kind of load these ones up, the 14 and 13 should theoretically still be at 100%. If we go and click on battery health here, you can go and see the 14 and 13 and 12 are all at 100%. The 11 is at 98%, and the iPhone 10R at the end is at 93%. So please keep that in mind. But we should theoretically always we'll keep the settings in the background. But if the 10R dies first, do keep in mind it has like a way degraded battery than the 14. So we'll check back in about another hour and see where we're at. All right, so it's been about an hour and it's very interesting. The iPhone 14 is currently at 92%, iPhone 13 is at 94%, my iPhone 12 is at 93%, iPhone 11 is at 86%, and the iPhone 10R is at 82%. Now, if I go and just kind of zoom in as quickly as possible, you guys can kind of see for yourself that the iPhone 14 is roughly less than the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 12 just on battery, like literally just on the screen itself. Now, it does look like to me that the iPhone 14's display does go noticeably brighter, as some of you may be able to tell, than the iPhone 12 display. They are both at their max brightness. All these phones are at their max brightness. But these three are very interesting. At the very end right here, you can see the 10R and the 11. I'm expecting these iPhones not to be doing too well. The 10Rs were not doing as great as I thought, but it has degraded more battery than the other ones. But my thing is with the iPhone 14. I'm actually really, really shocked that this one is doing worse than these two iPhones just being on their home screen. So I'm going to let them sit out again for like another hour or so and then kind of see what happens there. But this is actually pretty insane to me. So now it's been another hour and we are at that 2 hour mark. The 14 is at 82%, 13 is at 80%, 12 is at 81%, 11 is at 67%, and the 10R is at 62%. Now remember how I said earlier, the 14's display is noticeably brighter than the 12's. I also do think it's brighter than the 13's. So now we're starting to see things kind of even out a little bit. For some reason, the 14 is now doing better than the 13 and is doing the same as the 12. So this is kind of good news. I'm going to go ahead for the next hour or so. I'm going to go ahead and load up Temple Run 2, and I'm going to go ahead and play that game in the background. So that will kind of die these things out a little bit faster. I'm pretty sure the iPhone 10R is going to die first, but we'll just go and play that game for a little bit, and we'll just see where they end up in about another hour. So I forgot to check back in. I got super busy, but they've been playing Temple Run since the last check-in, which was almost 2 hours ago. Now, stepping out of all these phones or games, we were just playing Temple Run 2 for the last hour or so. You can see the varying battery capacities we are at currently. Now, this is very interesting. iPhone 14 is at 65%, iPhone 13 is at 55%, iPhone 12 is at 56%, iPhone 11 28%, and iPhone 10R all the way at the end is at 15%. Now, I still want to showcase the discrepancies here. So with the iPhone 14 all the way at the end, like I showcased before, it is very interesting that between these two phones, the 14 was doing worse than the 13, but then it started doing better. I don't know why, but I noticed this in another battery comparison test too. So it's very interesting between these two phones that the 14 is doing better during gameplay, but the 13 kind of is better during like standalone when you're just on the home screen. Now, if we go and take a step over to the 56% on the iPhone 12, very interesting that we're getting better battery percent on the iPhone 12 than on the iPhone 13. Now, at the very end, we have these three iPhones. Now, this is where things are interesting. I'm pretty sure the 11 is probably going to do, it should be doing better. It's very strange that it's still at 27%. The 10R, notoriously good battery life when it first came out. Now it's pretty bad on iOS 16. So I think at the end of it, we're going to let this keep going. I'll probably leave them on their home screen again for about another hour just to kind of like, brush things over. I don't know the best way to describe it. And then we'll go back into playing Temple Run right after. I'm assuming the 10R is probably going to die very soon. I'm curious to see where the 14 is going to be when all these other iPhones are dead, because we're already at a 10% advantage really over the second to the best ones. So it's pretty insane here. And like I said, the brightness level on the 14 is actually pretty high. So let's go and continue it on. So we are now around that 5 hour mark. The iPhone XR died about 4 minutes ago. So just keep that in mind. Around that 4:55, I should go ahead and write it down. And this specific iPhone died. The iPhone 14 is at 55%, iPhone 13 is at 42%, iPhone 12 is at 43%, and the iPhone 11 is at 6%. The discrepancy here is pretty wild, and these three iPhones are doing better than I think, or better than I initially thought. But the discrepancy between these two and this one is actually pretty high now, which is pretty crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and load up Temple Run 2 again in all these, and then we're going to go ahead and just let them, die out from there. So hopefully within another hour or so, they'll be able to kind of, hopefully be dead by then. So we'll check back in another hour. So we are at the 6 hour and 19 minute mark. The iPhone 11 died about an hour ago at 5 hour 18 minutes. The 10R died at 4 hours and 55 minutes. The 12, 13, and 14 are still doing pretty good. The 12 is at 24%, 23% on the 13, and 42% on the iPhone 14. So you can get a glimpse of how much longer these three phones last in the battery life department, which is pretty insane. Now I'm going to go ahead and do another hour or so of Temple Run 2. If you guys have any other suggestions, let me know. But my goal is to kind of get these phones to die out just as fast as possible. And honestly, for that long, for this phone to be performing this well, is pretty insane considering it was dying super early and not that long ago. So we'll check back in another hour or so and see where we're at. So about an hour or so after that, man, time is flying. Keep in mind, the iPhone 11 died about 2 hours ago, and the iPhone XR died at 4 hours and 55 minutes in. Now, I did have the low power mode option, not low power mode, but the low power options come up. They are not on low power mode, so don't get that impression. 10% on the iPhone 12, 7% on the iPhone 13, and on the iPhone 14, 31%. Now, like I said, I've been playing Temple Run 2 for a little bit of time. The thing is that the iPhone, they're all on iOS 16. Battery drain is real on pretty much a multitude, basically all these iPhones. Because the iPhone 14 is brand new, this one may end up giving you better battery life for sure. So I will let them keep going, probably for another hour. I'm going to assume these two are going to be dead, and we're going to be left with a 13, probably at, if I had to guess, maybe like 24%, maybe above 20%, while these two are dead. So we'll check back in about another hour. And then there was one at 8:08, actually at 8:06, the iPhone 12 finally died, and this is what we were rocking with. The iPhone 14 currently is at 23%. Now I'm going to go ahead and dim the brightness down now so you can kind of get an idea of how great of a job the iPhone 14 did over all the other phones. The iPhone XR was the first one to die at 4 hours and 55 minutes. The iPhone 11 died at 5 hours and 18 minutes. The iPhone 12 died at 8:06, and the iPhone 13 died at 7 hours and 50 minutes in. So still, at this long of a gap between, actually, it's very interesting. These two iPhones died very next to each other, and these two iPhones died next to each other. The iPhone 14 at 23% right now is actually pretty impressive. So we're at almost a quarter of the way, left in the battery life for the iPhone 14. So my consensus, and to wrap up this comparison, it was very weird because the 14 was kind of dying super fast early on, but now it actually ended up being at a pretty high percentage and high difference between all the other iPhones. So if you're wanting to get a better iPhone in terms of battery test and battery life, the 14 is going to be giving you better battery life overall. That doesn't mean you're going to be seeing a 23% increase going from one iPhone to the other. It just means from the basic test, you are going to be getting a better battery life from the iPhone 14 than the previous iPhones. So that kind of covers up this test. This one was kind of a long one. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.